My brother, my sister, sometimes you cry not because you did something wrong, but because you did everything right and it still didn't work out. And now your heart is asking, Ya Allah, why? Let me tell you something tonight. Allah didn't close that door to break you. He closed it to save you. Because sometimes the door you want leads to a future you wouldn't survive. You wanted it with your whole heart. You saw how it could have completed a part of your life you've been waiting to fill for so long. You told yourself, this is finally it. This is what I've been praying for. This is the door Allah brought to me. And you meant it. You didn't chase it blindly. You prayed. You stayed within your limits. You tried to remain pure. You even sought guidance, made istikhara, and asked Allah to make it easy if it was good. But still, the door closed. And now you're left wondering, what more could I have done? Let me tell you something from the heart. Sometimes the door you want, the door you cry for, the door you prepare your whole soul for, looks perfect from where you stand. But Allah sees what's on the other side of it, not just the entrance. You see a blessing, but He sees a burden you were never created to carry. He sees how that very thing you thought would give you peace would slowly rob you of it. Not all at once, but in pieces. Quietly, gently, silently. Until one day you wouldn't even recognize your own reflection. He saw how your smile would become performance. He saw how you would shrink your soul just to fit in that space. He saw the loneliness that would creep in even when people around you were clapping for your success. You thought it would complete you, but Allah knew it would drain you. He didn't take it away because you weren't enough. He took it away because it wasn't aligned with the version of you. He's still crafting the version that knows how to breathe deeply, the version that stands in sujood, not begging for a person but thanking Him for His timing, the version that values peace more than attachment. You would have smiled for the world, but you would have suffered in silence. You would have told yourself to stay strong, but deep down your soul would have whispered, this isn't home. And that's not the life Allah wants for you. That's not the future. He promised when He said in the Quran, and perhaps you hate a thing while it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing while it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you know not. Surah Al-Baqarah 216. You loved it. You saw only the good, but He saw the cracks forming beneath it, the cracks that would have eventually shattered your spirit. So He stepped in, not with thunder, not with warning, but with one closed door. Because one closed door is sometimes more merciful than 1,000 open ones. And maybe right now you don't see that. Maybe right now all you feel is loss. But soon you will look back and realize He didn't block your path. He shielded your soul. Because the door you wanted would have cost you. And He loves you far too much to ever let that happen. Because what you thought was a blessing, was a distraction wearing a disguise. Sometimes we ask Allah for something, and when it comes close to us, we feel relieved. We feel like we've finally been answered, like the wait is over, like our heart is being seen and held after a long, lonely road. You start thanking Allah. You feel hopeful again. You imagine your life finally coming together. You say to yourself, this must be the barakah I've been praying for. But what if it wasn't a blessing? What if it only looked like one? Not every opportunity is from Allah. Not every soft voice is mercy. Not every open door is guidance. Some things arrive in our lives looking like light, but they slowly pull us away from the source of it. You didn't realize it at first because it felt so beautiful. It felt like peace after chaos, like clarity after confusion. But deep down, if you pause and reflect, you may begin to notice it was stealing your focus. You used to wake up with purpose. You used to pray with full presence. You used to make dhikr from your heart, and now your mind is busy. Your heart is distracted. You keep thinking about the blessing and less about the one who gives all blessings. That's how some distractions disguise themselves. They don't always look wrong. They don't always pull you into haram. Sometimes they're quiet, harmless on the outside, but inside they're draining your spiritual attention. You may still pray, but the sweetness has faded. You may still fast, but your thoughts are elsewhere. You're slowly becoming attached to something that was never meant to sit at the center of your heart. And Allah knows how fragile the heart is. He knows how easily we get attached to dreams, even when those dreams start replacing our dependence on Him. So what does He do? He closes the door gently, suddenly, and you feel confused. You feel hurt. You say, but Ya Allah, I thought this was from you. And the truth is, maybe it was never from Him. Or maybe it was a test, not a gift. A lesson, not a destination. A temporary season to show you where your heart was shifting before it shifted too far. Sometimes Allah gives us a glimpse of something just long enough for us to wake up and realize this was becoming a distraction, not a direction. And then in His mercy, He removes it. Not because He's angry, not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants your heart free again. So you can return to Him without heaviness. So your prayers can feel alive again. So your soul can remember what real peace actually feels like when it's not tied to anything temporary. It's hard to accept, I know. But sometimes what feels like a blessing is actually a detour, pulling you away from the very closeness to Allah you once begged Him for. And so the door was closed, not to hurt you, but to bring you back. Because your sincerity was real, but the other side wasn't. You were sincere. From the very beginning, you didn't play games. You weren't pretending. You made every move with intention. You gave from a heart that was trying to please Allah, not people. You had no hidden motives, no masks, no manipulation. And that's why it hurts so much. Because you weren't faking anything. But the other side wasn't holding the same sincerity. It felt like you were on a boat rowing towards something meaningful, while the other side was standing still, watching, not rowing, not matching your honesty, not meeting your level of sacrifice. You see, sincerity is powerful, but it doesn't guarantee that the other person or situation will carry the same purity. And that's hard to accept. Because in your heart you believe, if I do it the right way, Allah will make it last. But sometimes He shows you something greater. He shows you that your sincerity alone is not enough to build something that takes two pure hearts. Allah knows what you couldn't see. He heard the words spoken in private. He saw the intentions hidden behind silence. He witnessed the conversations you were excluded from and the inconsistencies you kept giving the benefit of the doubt. He saw how your soul leaned in while the other side kept pulling away. He saw your du'as rising while the other side wasn't even thinking of Him. And still you stayed. Still you prayed. Still you kept giving. But Allah is just. He doesn't allow imbalances to go unnoticed forever. He doesn't let one sincere heart keep breaking just to protect an image. So He stepped in. He closed the door. He broke the bond. He cut the string because He saw that only you were holding it. And you may feel confused because from your side it looked beautiful. The effort, the clarity, the intentions, all pure. But Allah knew that purity was one-sided. He removed it to protect your sincerity from being wasted. He ended it to honor your clean heart before it got damaged by someone who didn't know how to hold it. And yes, it feels unfair. But had it continued, you would have spent your days trying to keep alive something that was never being watered from the other end. You would have stayed loyal to a bond that wasn't loyal to you. You would have kept sacrificing for someone who only took your effort but never gave you truth. So Allah closed the door not because your sincerity wasn't enough, but because it deserved better. And He knew you wouldn't walk away unless He made it impossible to stay. Your clean heart was seen. Your pure intention was recorded. And every silent act of love you made for His sake will come back to you in a way that doesn't leave you questioning yourself again. You weren't too much. You weren't too emotional. You weren't too intense. You were just too sincere for someone who didn't value sincerity. So trust this. Allah will never waste your purity. He just removed the one who didn't deserve to receive it. Because your du'as weren't rejected, they were redrawn. You cried for it, not just once but over and over. In sujood, in tahajjud, while driving, while sitting alone in your room, you begged Allah in your own language, with your own tears. You even made sacrifices, gave up sins, worked on your character, tried your best to be better just so you could be deserving of this one thing. You said, Ya Allah, if it's good for me, bring it to me. And if it's not, take it away. But deep down, you were silently hoping Allah would still bring it. You believed in your prayer. You believed in His power. And now, the door is closed. Gone. No explanation. Just silence. So you wonder, did Allah reject my dua? My dear brother, my dear sister, no. Your dua was not rejected. It was heard. It was received. And it was answered, just not in the shape you were expecting. The Prophet ﷺ said, no supplication of a believer goes unheard. It is either answered immediately, delayed for later, or something harmful is removed in its place. Authentic hadith, Ahmad. So your words didn't disappear into the sky. They rose. They reached the one who never sleeps. And He, in His infinite wisdom, began rearranging your path. He didn't throw your dua away. He redrew the map. You asked for peace. He gave you protection. You asked for that specific person. He saved your heart from future heartbreak. You asked for ease. He gave you the strength to survive what you didn't see coming. Sometimes Allah doesn't give us what we want because He's already writing something we didn't know we needed. You said, Ya Allah, I want this. And He replied, my servant, I want more for you than this. But we don't always see that in the moment, because all we feel is the absence, the empty hands, the unanswered prayer, and it feels like rejection. But really, it's redirection. Merciful, beautiful redirection. Think of the baby who cries for a sharp object, not knowing it would hurt them. The parent takes it away and the child screams, kicks, cries. But only the parent knows what they just protected the child from. You are that child. And Allah is your Rabb, your protector, your guardian, the one who knows what your soul cannot comprehend yet. You prayed for love, but